Welcome, everyone, to the Donovan Live Postgame Show on WKYC's Facebook Live with Jim Donovan. I'm Dave DiNatale. Nice to see everybody. And, boy, Jimmy, it was, I feel like it's like a Charles Dickens novel. It was the best of times.
Yeah.
It was the worst of times over the last 2 days in Cleveland sports.
It was.
Having a chance to talk to you since the best of times. We'll get to the Indians in a second. Take me back Sunday. The Browns win 12-9 over the Ravens in such unconventional fashion. But yet this team, Jimmy, the character really is starting to come out. And it's really, they're taking, I think, almost the reflection of their quarterback. And it feels like, and of they're also their rookie cornerback.
Yeah.
And they're building from these guys.
They definitely are. I think that there have been many Sunday afternoons that were typical of last Sunday afternoon, except the ending.
Yes.
There have been many Sunday afternoons where the Browns have played at times very heroically, very hard, very competitively, especially against foes in the AFC North. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Baltimore, as it was last Sunday. But the end of the ball game, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati so many times, they have walked out of there and said, boy, they played us hard, but we won the game. Right. We took the game at a crucial point.
It was a tough game. It was, the Browns played us so tough. And, you know, you have to sit and we always hear like, well, we're getting a little bit closer. Now all of a sudden, well, I mean, it wasn't pretty, but they found a way to win that game against a good Ravens team, especially that defense. Yeah,
it was a great game, and I just think it was the Browns defense came back after having a tough week the week before in Oakland and giving up 45 points in the game, although they were 7 that they didn't give up because of a pick 6. But anyway, they had a tough day. They gave up over 500 yards. They were on the field for 92 plays in that game, and you wondered, okay, is this going to be, kind of a descending situation where the Browns defense played well early, but they're going to kind of fall back on what they used to do? And the answer to that was all last Sunday. I mean, from start to finish, they were great.
Yes.
I mean, they were great. And they're led by Denzel Ward.
Yeah.
I mean, Denzel Ward came up with a huge play, a big interception at the 2.5-3-yard line with the Ravens going in, and he made a tremendous play. And he's kind of the engine right now that gets them going. Yeah. And they're playing just out of sight. They really are. I give them a lot of credit to hold that quarterback and that team without a touchdown in the game. But the heartbeat of the team is the quarterback right now, because he doesn't give up.
Yep.
And I think symbolizing that is what he did in overtime. And the bad call by Todd Haley when they were down deep in their own end anyway, and they ran a double reverse to Rod Streeter. And they end up losing yardage all the way back to the 5-yard line. Now they're at their 5-yard line. Okay?
Second and 21? I think after the reverse or whatever it was.
Second and 21, right? Because then Mayfield scrambled and got back. What you wanted there was a chunk, and he got him 13. And then it's 3rd and 8, and he makes that big play to Derek Willis. And why does he make the play to Willis? Well, number one, he refuses to get sacked, and number two, he throws you open, as they say. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Derek Willis or Jarvis Landry or Njoku or Callaway. He gets the ball to whoever it is in the right spot and lets them get it and go. And, of course, that's what he did then. Willis got them down not only the first down, but all the way into Baltimore territory. That hasn't happened here enough. In fact, it hasn't happened here at all, really, if you go back. And, to be presented with that loss on first down the way he was, most of our quarterbacks, whether it's a veteran or a young quarterback like we had last year, or Cody Kessler the year before, their knees are knocking.
Absolutely.
Okay, and they're just thinking, get a couple of yards and let Colquitt punt it out of here.
Right, and get out of here. Get me out of here.
Get me out of here, But he doesn't do that. Yeah. That's why he's going to be great. He is really going to be great. And everything really clears when you have a quarterback.
I mean, we've talked about it for all these years about trying to get the quarterback and what it would mean. Well, again, it's that rising tide lifts all boats. He raises the performance level of everybody around him. I mean, where a guy like Willis, an undrafted free agent, can come right in after the Higgins injury, come right in and make the biggest play of the game. I mean, that tells me a lot about Willis, but it tells me a lot about Mayfield,
too. Absolutely, yeah. Now, remember, Willis really was with Mayfield a lot in training camp, okay, through the afternoon practices. And even when Baker would initially get into the preseason games, he was with guys like Ratley and Willies and Cajuce. Okay,
that's right. That's right.
And these kind of guys. Remember, he wasn't with Landry and Njoku and those guys because he was running second team. So he was coming in with second and third teamers. So he had some chemistry with those guys. He had a lot of chemistry with Higgins because he threw to him a great deal. But I just think right now, I just can't wait to see him play now this Sunday.
Yeah.
Because he's going to have another week under his belt, and he's going to get better. And he's getting better fast.
The thing I like is, he can have a game like the Raider game where, he made the mistakes, he made the turnovers, but he put the team in position to win that game.
Oh, yeah.
And the same thing, he'll still make a rookie mistake. He might make a wrong read, although I think that interception was more on the receiver, I think, than on him.
It was, yeah.
But
Higgins.
On Higgins. But he doesn't let the mistakes get him down. He bounces right back up and comes right back on the field. And it's like he's learned another, it's like he's matured another grade after a mistake. And that's what you want to see. You don't want to see the same. I mean, we used to see it with Kaiser. It's like you would see the same poor read, in back-to-back games or something like that. And you're like, okay, at some point he's got to learn. Baker learns very fast.
And let me tell you, he was throwing into a hornet's nest of a secondary, okay? They have two great safeties. Tony Jefferson, Eric Weddle is a great safety.
Good.
I mean, he's all over the place, okay? I mean, he used to get Kaiser twice a game in the two games he played against them last year, and he gets a lot of guys, okay? He gets Roethlisberger, and so Baker had to be careful, okay, where he was putting that ball because they had really good corners, and they had one of their best corners back in Jimmy Smith off a suspension. They had Brandon Carr, they had guys like that. They have a good secondary. That's a good defense, but it's a really good secondary. And I thought he handled that very, very well. He's fearless, but he's fearless in a smart way.
Yes.
He's not reckless. He is fearless. And he just doesn't give up. He doesn't give up. And that's important. And I think when you go in that huddle and you got one more drive, they have to believe that you can get them down there. And I think they all believe that with him now.
Offensive line also, I feel like we're not dwelling on them as much as we were early in the season, which means you're not seeing as many mistakes, you're not seeing as many holding penalties, you're not seeing as many missed assignments. Guys seem to be comfortable now with Mayfield and his ability to prolong plays.
Yeah, I think that the kid at left tackle is an amazing story.
Yes, he
I mean, we
has.
talk about Mayfield and we talk about Denzel Ward, and they're great, okay? But remember, Desmond Harrison wasn't drafted, okay? They got him out of West Georgia, okay? Now, he was at Texas. Something happened there. He left Texas, and he went to West Georgia. And, I was talking to Joe Thomas yesterday and Doug Deacon, and, I mean, if you're going to get the dope on the left tackle position, those are two pretty good ways to go.
Exactly.
And they both say the sky's the limit for this guy. That really, he graded out well on Sunday. And that's against Terrell Suggs.
Yeah.
16-year veteran. And, he got him maybe once, twice, maybe twice.
But he'd get Joe Thomas once or
absolutely.
twice.
He's going to get everybody. That's why he's going to go into the Hall of Fame as soon as he decides to hang him up. So I think the offensive line is doing its job. It really is. It's doing well right now, and they didn't dominate in the running game, but they were good enough.
Yeah.
It wasn't great, but it was good enough. Hyde did what Hyde does. Hyde ran a little bit like Le'Veon Bell the other day.
Yeah.
When he would come up, he'd give you that stop and stutter. It worked for him. It didn't work for Nick Chubb a couple of times, but you can't expect Chubb to give you those home run balls the way he did in the game against Oakland. But it was efficient. They're not afraid to dial it up. And really, at the end of the day, Duke Johnson gave them 3 big runs right after the play by Willies that allowed that kick to be within range. Not that it was a good kick. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't good.
But when Duke made those plays, you started to think, okay, Todd Haley's figuring out how best to use each of his 3 backs.
Yeah.
And that's, it's a blessing to have. But sometimes it's difficult because, you're sitting there going, boy, we've seen a lot of Carlos Hyde. Where's Chubb? And then it's like, well, okay, wait, where's Duke Johnson? It's hard to get all those guys touches.
Yeah. I think what they did at that point, now the game was deep into overtime. I mean, it looked like it was going to be a tie again. And both defenses had played a lot. And what he did was he hit them with Duke Johnson, who had fresher legs, I think, at that point in the game than Hyde did, and probably Chubb. But Duke's quicker anyway.
Yeah.
But now you put him in against a defense that's a little bit sapped in energy, and that's what happened. I mean, he gave you 3 really good runs.
Yeah, and all of a sudden now you're on your way down for a field goal, and take me through that final sequence. So you know we're sitting there going, please, not another tie. Let's win this game. And I mean that kick. I think what did you say? It had a little bit of yellow paint on it. As it did. It just barely did get it. But
well, now the big, there's this. Did it get hit?
Yeah.
The kicker thinks it did. Tony Jefferson would have been the guy that got in.
Yeah.
I thought they were offside.
I did. It's funny you said that. I was wondering that too.
Yeah, I thought they were offside on the kick anyway. The guy on the outside, as we would look at it, if it was the Browns looking at it, the guy coming off the left, which would have been the Ravens' right on their kick block team, I think he was way offside. Yeah. I don't think it was even close. I didn't see a flag. There was that hesitation at the end of the game about people going back on the field.
Yeah, because I was feeling the same thing, and Hugh was like doing the same thing. It's like, oh yeah, no, are we sure? Game over? Okay, good, game over. It's like,
yeah. I think it was because they felt there might have been a flag on the play, and there wasn't, or at least if it was, they picked it up very quickly because the guy came over the mic and said, ball game over. The kick was a ride of emotions.
Yes,
I have to tell you, I'm a little worried about that, and the reason I am is because I think there are going to be a lot of games like this.
I completely agree.
I really think week to week they are, and we said it last week, they're good enough to play with anybody right now. They can play with you, okay? They're competitive enough, and they can beat you, as the Ravens fell victim to last Sunday. But they're going to be in that kind of a game. Yeah. They got to be sure that guy is going to make those kicks. Now, he missed an extra point.
Yep.
Okay, the 55-yarder was lengthwise, it was okay, but it was very wide.
Yeah.
And this one was the magical mystery ride too. So this might be a week-to-week proposition.
Yeah, I mean, I wish Phil Dawson was walking through that door, but unfortunately that's not the case. Todd says, I'm impressed with the Browns so far. I hate to change the subject, but I have to change the subject. What changes might be coming to the Cleveland Indians, which leads us to the worst of times. Jimmy, I don't have a problem that the Indians lost to the Astros. I mean, the defending world champions, they're very good top to bottom. Not surprised at all. But the way they lost, especially in Game 3, I mean, they got the door slammed on them. And this is a good the Indians, roster-wise, they've got a good baseball team, and they've got a terrific manager, and that's just not what you would expect anyone would expect to happen.
Well, it was 2-1 in the top of the 7th inning. They're ahead, okay? 2-1 in the top of the 7th inning. But I have to tell you, the Indians didn't look like they felt that was going to hold, and the Astros definitely didn't feel like they were in any kind of trouble, because I was over there sitting there, and the Astros were very, very confident, because remember now, they had left them loaded a couple of times. They had left some guys on base, okay? And even the fact that Clevenger was striking them out a lot, and I think he had like 8 or 9 strikeouts in the game, they knew tactically what they were doing. They were getting him, they started to get him deeper into the count, and they got into some situations where they got some runners on base. But I at least felt this might go 5 games. Okay, I really did. I thought they would split down in Houston. I thought Kluber would win. And he was terrible. I mean, Kluber was terrible. But I'm okay with that because Carrasco looks like he's going to win on Saturday, and I thought Terry pulled the plug on him too early. So Kluber was terrible. I thought Terry got beat out on Saturday because I think Carrasco should have stayed in the game. I don't know why suddenly in October why you are worried so much about pitch count. I'm really not, because now remember, the Indians had all of September to get themselves ready for this, okay? Because the Central Division was in their pocket by Memorial Day, okay? If not even before that. So, I mean, they knew they were in the playoffs. It's not like they were pitching up until the last Sunday on Fan Appreciation Day saying, okay, if we win, we need them to lose. I mean, they knew they were in. So they had plenty of time to get this up. Why are they so knee-jerk to get guys out? And if the fascination was to pitch Trevor Bauer, then pitch Trevor Bauer, okay?
Start him.
Not as a reliever, pitch him.
Right.
I really believe, I have to tell you, I think this was very disappointing. Yeah. I don't know what was accomplished this season. I'm sorry, I cannot be satisfied. My appetite for baseball is not satisfied in Cleveland this year by hanging the Central Division flag up.
No,
it's like winning the MAC.
Exactly. It's not good enough. Not when you've done it 3 years in a row and everybody expects it. I mean, you got to see growth, and I mean, I think the Indians are worse off than they were this time a year ago against the Yankees. And now you're sitting there going, wait a minute, are we backpedaling here as an organization? I don't know.
Well, you have a ton of decisions to go to the point that was raised here on the question, and that is you have a ton of decisions. And you had a clubhouse yesterday where a lot of guys were talking like, it's been great.
Yep.
Wish we could have won it all. Not probably going to be here if they do win it all. I mean, Cody Allen. I mean, Andrew Miller is not the same Andrew Miller, and I don't think he's been that way since the World Series
2 years ago.
Yeah, and I think early in the World Series because he was not good in Game 7.
Right.
In the World Series.
But I don't think he was. But I think even in Game either 5, I think 5, he struggled too.
Well, anyway, I mean, he hasn't been the same. He's 6'5". He's all legs and gangly arms and everything. There's a lot that has to be in sync in that windup to be fluent, okay? And something's off with him. And I know he's had knee trouble, and I know he's had, shoulder problems and things like that. But I don't know, Dino. I would say this. I would say that both Cody Allen and Andrew Miller, albeit they are free agents, but the price tag on them went down.
Big time. They cost themselves both a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, they absolutely cost themselves a lot of money. I think Michael Brantley is another one, on the offensive side of things.
Now, he spoke yesterday like he was leaving.
And it's if any player, if you sit there and you go, man, couldn't you give us a hometown discount for everything?
That's right.
It would be Michael Brantley. But the reality is, I'm sure his people are telling him, hey, look, we got one last chance to give you, a contract based on the good year you had. So he may have priced his way out of Cleveland.
Well, $12 million this year.
Right.
Remember, they picked up that option. And remember, at this time last year, okay, when the Indians were knocked out by the Yankees, you didn't know if Brantley was even going to be available.
Right.
Okay, and remember, they had that hard date that they had to pick that contract up by, and they did it. And there were still some question marks whether or not he was going to come through rehab as quickly as he did, and he did. I give him a lot of credit for that. But I don't know, I don't know what they're going to be able to do with him. Kipnis sounds like a guy that maybe needs a change of scenery.
I think so.
There have been too many. You're going to go to center field. You're going to play second base. We're going to trade you. We can't get a deal.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't he about $9 million?
Yeah.
I think that sometimes when a player's been moved around a lot, I think that everybody has an ego, and I think he's kind of I think he's a little bit worn out.
I wonder also about the outfield situation. In addition to Brantley, I think about Zimmer and I think about Chisenhall.
I think Zimmer's injury is bad.
Yeah. That's 2 straight postseasons, though. You haven't had these guys.
Right.
And if you're not healthy, and I off the top of my head, I don't know Chisenhall's contract situation. I think he might be eligible for free agency coming up, if not now. But if you're not healthy, if you can't be healthy, you can't be here.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's the tale of his career, the calf muscle.
Right.
I mean, that guy has had he's had calf injuries a lot, so that's been a problem. He has a breakout game, but he doesn't have a month.
No.
And it's not because of ability; it's because of health.
Right.
I mean, it's because he just is unable to stay healthy. That's sad, but he kind of falls into the Grady Sizemore, description of a career where Grady's, his body just broke on him, and Chisenhall has the same thing happen. Great team guy, okay. I mean, remember, was an infielder, became a right fielder, serviceable out in the outfield. Not great, but maybe if he played more, he would get better. But the fact that he's on the DL as much as he is would have to make you believe that they would say, hey, listen, Lonnie, what are we going to do here?
Right. And I guess my last question or my last thought about this, I mean, I think the franchise has full faith in Terry Francona and what he's done since he's been here. I wonder, though, if coaching staff-wise, perhaps maybe there's just because it's the team had a just kind of a sleepy year. I mean, they made it to the playoffs, but as you said, it was nothing, certainly nothing spectacular. There's just something, I feel like there just needs to be a change in the DNA of this ball club going into next year.
Here's some of the things that I would say. I know a lot of people dwell on Ramirez, and there's no doubt about it. I mean, huge disappointment in the postseason. But remember, this was going on since August.
Yeah.
Okay, he's way below 200.
Right.
Since August, and he didn't get a hit in this series.
Yeah, two for 31 if you go back to the last 6 playoff games.
And so that's a big disappointment. But I have to tell you something. I don't buy Encarnacion. Okay.
The parrot?
Yeah.
You're not buying the parrot?
I want, when he gets a clutch hit, please call me. Okay, because I do not see it. I really don't see it. I really believe that Donaldson and Encarnacion were more effective and helpful to the Indians when they were on the Blue Jays and played the Indians in the American League Championship Series, and both of them did nothing in that series. Okay, I really do. I do not buy it. I'm sorry. And I give the Dolans a lot of credit because at the time it looked glamorous.
Yeah.
But he didn't do it last year. I don't need the big home runs at Target Field. I need the big home runs against the Astros. Yes. I need them in Yankee Stadium.
Yes.
That's what I need them.
Yes.
That's what they pay for. You pay for the big hits in the big games.
Yeah, I think I saw he either had one hit. This is Edwin. Donaldson didn't get his first hit in the series until the 9th inning of yesterday's Game 3. I think Encarnacion, had 2 hits in the entire series, just 2. Yeah. I mean, and the problem is again, I mean, he's like the highest paid player in the team. He's getting $20 million a year, and again, the parrot thing is cute and fun, and we all love emojis and everything, but. I like wins in October. I like big hits in October.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. I mean, you're taking a look at, again, I get the Ramirez disappointment, and believe me, that must be a little up here. It's more so than his physical ability. I mean, I don't think Jose Ramirez is hurt. Okay, I just think that he's in one of those tight clenches upstairs. I think upstairs is doing more than downstairs with his swing. So I get that, but I mean. I don't buy Encarnacion. I have never seen him get a big hit for them.
No.
In a big game. Now, you can say this year, when were they in a big game? Okay, we can manufacture that.
Yeah.
Well, they went to Yankee Stadium, they got swept.
Right.
Okay? And, I just don't see it. I don't see where he's coming through. When you pay a guy like that, it's a two-pronged thing. You're paying them for, yes, big numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, and he does give you numbers.
Yeah.
But he doesn't give you anything in the postseason, and he did that in Toronto.
Yeah, and we're spoiled here. You think about Octobers. I mean, Jim Thome was an October player. He would have big hits in October. So did Albert Bell.
Yes.
I mean, even like a guy like Ellis Burks. I can remember him hitting a couple of home runs when the Indians had the last
Perry.
Herbert Perry. I mean, but
Alomar had
Alomar had
one of the biggest hits in Indians history when he hit that one off Mariano Rivera.
Exactly. And then, but I'm looking over. David Herberton has the. I mean, this is what the Indians are getting from Edwin Encarnacion, Jimmy. They're getting a cute parrot.
Yeah, that's great, but I don't need 2 home runs at Kauffman Stadium against Kansas City. I really don't. I need him against the Yankees. I need him against the Red Sox. And I need him against the Astros. I mean, again, they knew they were going to be in the playoffs. Okay? They had this thing buttoned up really early.
Yeah.
Okay? Yes, there was a magic number, and yes, we had to tick it off and everything like that. But believe me, they knew in May they were going to the playoffs. So you time this thing. Right. And if that's coaching, then maybe your point is, the staff needs to be reorganized. I don't know, Dino. I get that about a pitching coach. Okay, I really do. But as far as as far as their hitting, I think a lot of that is on the player.
Right.
A lot of that is on the player. I'll give Lindor his credit.
He had a big home run yesterday. Yeah, he had 4 hits in the series. Not bad. Not bad.
He had a big home run Saturday.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I thought he played fine. He played well. Yeah. But nobody else. I mean, the Indians had 13 hits in the series. He had 4.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a third of the hits.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think, Jimmy, it's something's got to change. I mean, it's because the front office did their job this year. I mean, they went out and they got Brad Hand, they got Simber to help out in the bullpen. also knowing that Miller and Allen are free agents. And then they went out and got Donaldson. I mean, they did their part. Chris Antonetti and Mike Chernoff and the Dolans did their part.
In the end, let me ask you this though. In the end, was Donaldson worth that?
No, I mean he didn't.
Here's what you did.
He didn't do anything. I mean, he didn't do anything. I give them credit for going to get it bad. I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess they're better defensively with Donaldson at third and Ramirez at second, then Ramirez at third and Kipnis at second. I understand that. Those deals made at that time, they're really a crapshoot. I mean, you're rolling the dice on something like that. So, it was a very weird feeling over there yesterday because. I think the Indians needed to look at what happened to them last year, and that was that the Yankees went back after a devastating second-game loss where they blew a huge lead, and Girardi blew the decision to not challenge the
Lindor,
go to replay on the Lindor strikeout that was, a foul tip into Sanchez's mitt, and then he hits the grand slam. But anyway, they blow that game, and yet they get up and they win the game. All you had to do was win yesterday.
Yep.
That's all you had to do was win yesterday. And now Houston says, well, I mean, now we got to beat them, and they're going to be a little bit more revved up on Thursday. They would have played today, rather.
Yeah.
And then, maybe we're looking at a fifth game. And again, you don't know what's going to happen in that game.
Right.
Maybe Kluber's okay. Maybe Verlander, they get to him.
Right.
So very disappointed.
Me too.
Very empty on that.
By the way, the Indians, Chris Antonetti and Terry Francona are going to meet with the media tomorrow. That will be very, very interesting to kind of take a listen to some of the things they have to say about the end of this Indian season. Okay, that'll do it for us for tonight. Thank you to all for your questions. For Jimmy, I'm Dino. It's the Donovan Live Postgame Show right here on WKYC's Facebook Live.